The technology that makes everyone's lives easier and empowers medical providers, businesses, municipalities, schools, and universities doesn't function without a bank of servers, energy, and space somewhere. That somewhere will increasingly become hyperscale data centers, and municipalities will have to make important decisions about where they are located as developers seek to place them. Evolving technologies have garnered interest from Harrisburg to Washington, as elected leaders strive to keep their states and the nation ahead of the booming technological curve. Here in Pennsylvania, there's been a push from Harrisburg to streamline the permitting process for data centers and perhaps bypass local zoning and decision makers. Holly Fishel, Director of Policy and Research at PSATS, testified before the Democratic and Republican Senate policy committees.
Local governments play a critical role in the planning and development of their municipalities as the elected officials closest to the people they represent and are uniquely positioned to oversee this process. Local government's role in land use decisions is meant to balance the wishes of residents with the wants of developers and to do it with an eye on safety and affordability. It is not a responsibility our members take lightly and is heavily governed by the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. If a municipality has zoning, they must plan for every use and follow timelines for plan approvals.
Data centers are not new. They come in all shapes and sizes, from mobile units to the hyperscale data centers that are being proposed in several counties across the Commonwealth. County planning departments can be a great resource for township officials.
We used to write model ordinances, municipalities, and work with them, and a lot of them got adopted. But I think, especially on this issue, there's a lot of policy decisions that have to be made by municipalities to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to be restrictive? Do they want to be permissive? Is there a likelihood they're going to have big ones, or a likelihood they're going to have small ones? And give it some thought, do some research. I think county planning agencies are a good resource. Your utility provider, too, is likely going to be an excellent resource, because if there's any interconnections that need to be made, especially on the electric side, they'll be aware of them. I may not be able to tell you all the details, but I can at least say, hey, generally, these are the areas we think that there may be interest in data centers. And I think the water piece is probably the biggest one. So it can be difficult because, the municipality's role in this, in some cases, the municipality may, be part of an authority, either, a municipal authority or be part of a regional authority for water, where there may be a little more control over it. Otherwise, they may be at the whim of the water service provider, the public water provider. But I think, making sure that any of the water that's needed for data centers, those large needs, don't impact their residents negatively.
Local government officials should remain vigilant and educate themselves. Large-scale centers can demand hundreds of acres and create additional challenges for municipalities, from natural resources to emergency response. Locally elected officials are equipped to handle these challenges through existing zoning and comprehensive planning.
Municipalities can plan for data centers, but like any allowable use, cannot stop them or keep them out. The MPC gives municipalities the authority to plan for growth in their communities through a comprehensive plan. Zoning directs where different uses may be placed within a municipality. If a municipality chooses not to zone, it cannot restrict where a particular use may be placed. Zoning does have to be comprehensive, and you can't do changes to a specific site to acquiesce to a developer's desires, because it can generally be considered to be spot zoning. Municipalities must follow a strict public process when adopting new ordinances or amending existing ones, including legal notices, public hearings, and consideration and action at advertised public meetings with ample opportunity for public input. In addition, land use approval processes are strictly regulated by state law, and failure to act within timeframes can result in deemed approvals. Faster isn't better if rights are trampled. PSATS supports efforts to streamline permitting at the state level, as our members experience firsthand with cumbersome state permitting processes. However, streamlining permitting processes should not amount to waivers that could cost the necessary oversight to protect our residents and environment. Data centers have a place in our Commonwealth. However, like any land use, we should not rush their development for the sake of a headline or news hit. These projects will have long-lasting impacts on the communities that host them, which is why it is critical to preserve local decision-making and avoid a one-size-fits-all defined schemes.